there's a lot swimming around, pardon the pun, but David and Josh, so far only minor deals as far as the big names are concerned so far.
Yeah, only a couple of deals done today. Tyler Young has gone to West Coast from Richmond. Will Brodie swapped for pick 103. The last time we had a pick in the 100 swap was 2016 for Marley Williams. Went to Collingwood then. It's been a long time since then. So we're still waiting around. I think our talk about the Matrons is more exciting than trading.
I've got to say, though, on Will Brodie, I mean, he should have gone a couple of years ago. He can play. And I think it's a good pick-up by Port Adelaide. He fell out of favour for probably not running into defence hard enough or one of those defensive reasons all those years ago. But it's a good pick-up.
So, obviously a lot of phone calls made both from the media to various people at the club, but within clubs there's a lot going on a day like today, and obviously we would expect a fair bit to happen tomorrow, but a lot of these deals feels like are going to actually go all the way
I'm still
down
not sure, because we thought you have the weekend, that's when a lot of stuff happens. Sometimes the Monday can be quite busy because clubs have gotten things together on the weekend and they officially put the trades through on Monday, but it still hasn't happened yet. So we look at names like Zach Merrett, Charlie Curnow, Rowan Marshall, all this stuff is still percolating. We're waiting to see how it plays out. So I hope that we can get some stuff happening. With all due respect to Will Brodie and Tyler Young, they're not really game changers in terms of the trade period. It looks like they're being held until, or they'll certainly be very close to deadline when they finally do drop. All right, well, let's work our way through the big names. And we know Charlie's up in Sydney and about to do a tour, which is always a big feature of discussions, isn't it? But maybe Zach Merrett still remains the really interesting one in terms of whether an official trade request is actually made, because to me it doesn't seem like there's much point in making that request unless they know the Merrett camp and they can actually do it.
Yeah, well, generally the thought in this is that you know your destination and you know how you're going to get to your destination before you really put the chips all in when you're a superstar like this. And at the moment, we don't know how he's getting to Hawthorn. So I think that's the hold-up. I think we expected today that trade request may come through, but you're right, Hutto, I don't think he really needs to do it. I think everybody knows where he wants to go. It's just about whether Hawthorn and Essendon can actually talk turkey.
It's a very complicated issue, isn't it? Because you've got a new president who's come in trying to galvanise everybody, and he's trying to galvanise it around the captain, Zach Merrett, who we all know is a terrific player, has been for a long period of time. He's gone the hand grenade route at this stage. Whether he's asked for an official request, it doesn't matter. The dynamite was thrown, it exploded, and it's going to be a long way back. But I think if the president can, I guess, convinced him to come back, then it's a pretty good starting point about galvanising everybody.
Given the comments that have been made by just about everyone, almost including the doorman at Essendon, that Merrett's going to stay, will they be wowed by if Hawthorn put up the right numbers? Is the consensus that they would deal or not?
I think that if the right deal, this is the same with Charlie Curnow. It's the same.
It feels different with Curnow. It feels like Curnow have always been a little bit.
Carlton has had the door more ajar. Yeah. I think even with their public comments, there seemed to be a bit more room there to drive through. But with Zach Merrett, it's certainly been a lot more steadfast. But I still think that if the right deal comes,
what's the right deal for a Zach Merrett?
Well, you've got pick 9 that the Hawks have and then a first-round pick, a future. I think they'll need to get another club involved to try and get more draft capital to offer to Hawthorn, to offer to Essendon. I think that's where it has to sit, and I don't think Hawthorn are going to do this. They're going to come with a really good offer and just say, take it or leave it, let's go. Because they haven't been sitting on their hands this whole time. They've been trying to put the pieces together for a deal that's going to get Essendon's head turned and make them consider what they've said is not considerable.
Well, I'm with you, Hutto. The Merrett one feels more emotional than perhaps the Curnow one. The Curnow one, I think, would appear as if Carlton are resigned to the fact if the deal's there. But even if the right deal is there for Essendon, this is still, I think, a painful exercise for Essendon.
So do you think if Zach Merrett leaves, that the Essendon, it's a blow to Essendon, even if they get an amazing deal that they're able to sell to their members, this is overs for what you guys think a 30-year-old would be capable of? Do you still think that...
Oh, it's a big blow. Yeah. It's a big blow because, I mean, everybody at Essendon has galvanised around Zach Merrett for a long period of time, and he's almost been the anchor and the one shining light, if you like, through this really difficult period. And if he goes, then all of a sudden that shining light's not there, and they've got to really start again and find out who is the anchor of the team right now.
Let's move to Rowan Marshall, because this is fascinating. And a couple of elements of this, obviously, is he obviously wants to go to Geelong. We know Geelong originally put up the first-round pick, and then that was part of the Curnow deal. The element that partially interests me a lot, actually, is the Tom De Koning discussion, because I think from what I've sort of heard is that the Tom De Koning, I think it seems pretty obvious, when the sell was made to Tom De Koning, it was that Rowan Marshall would be his co-ruckman. So it feels like St Kilda are back at that position, or are they just waiting, trying to squeeze more out of the Cats?
Yeah, well, they never wanted to lose Rowan Marshall. I think part of that was they wanted to play him forward. They know that Max King is iffy at best. His body is never really standing up at the moment. So they thought they had a small forward line. We can play Rowan Marshall as that forward/ruck, and we can work it out with De Koning. Rowan Marshall wasn't in on that plan from the start. That was the issue there.
It's a slight setback, isn't it?
But now they're kind of stuck and they want to hold him, and they particularly want to hold players to contracts is another thing that Ross Lyon always says. But is it going to work, Jared? Can they fit Rowan Marshall and Tom De Koning in that same 22?
They are a much better team with the two of them there. And you only have to look at the last game of footy played with the Big O and Darcy Fort. You can play two ruckmen. We're going to 5 on the bench. I think they would be negligent to let Marshall go. With 5 people now on the bench, with Big Max going to sit...
Max Heath going to Melbourne.
Max Heath going to sit under Big Max.
Big Max. Yeah, Big Max.
It's going to be difficult with the Big Maxes, isn't it, at the Demons? But you need 2 rucks. I mean, they've got a young guy coming through, but with those 2 in, they look like a much better chance to be pushing up for a top 6 spot. Without him, what happens to TDK?
So the other element of that is obviously whether Rowan wants to, can be persuaded to stay, and how that will fit in with his teammates. Ben Dixon had these comments to make on Friday night on trading day.
I'd find it hard if I'm running next to a guy and he's $1 million or close to $1 million more than me. I just think from that premiership model, and we've seen and heard premiership players talk about, OK, we take unders to keep the group together. They've gone the other way and paid overs to get people in, but you've got existing core talent that have held your footy club together. That would be a hard pill to swallow.
I think it's a hard role to sell, though, to Rowan Marshall to be a forward, because the most goals he's kicked in the season is 15. He hasn't been an accomplished forward. When he's the guy, even when there was the Paddy Ryder and the 2 ruck setup, when he was the main guy in the ruck, that's when he thrived. I find it makes more sense for him, does it not, Jared, to be at Geelong, where, with all due respect to Reece Stanley, they subbed him out to the grand final when there was a bloke out there with a broken arm. You would suggest that Rowan Marshall's their number 1 guy. He wants to go there. That would be a much cleaner fit for him, wouldn't it?
Well, if he's desperate to play number 1 ruck, yes, that's the case. But unfortunately for him, he's signed a contract and he's committed to St Kilda until they allow him to walk. I still think, to Dicko's point, the players can't have it both ways. You can't say this is exciting, this is the Americanisation of the game. Well, if that's the case, this is what happens. Players come in on big money, but it's been happening for 25, 35 years. I mean, Peter Moore and Kelvin Templeton, they came to Melbourne when I was there, and, you know, your top liner in those days was probably on 40, and they came in on 100. So, but the bottom line was...
It's gone up a little bit.
A bit of inflation, yeah.
But do you want to play... Do you want to be better? Yeah. And that's what... If you want to be better and you're at a club and blokes come in on big money, well, that's the reality. You would hope that the club help you out down the track and trying to equilibrate it a little bit. But it's been happening for 100 years.
The other thing with St Kilda, is that I think they're cutting their nose off to spite their face a bit. Tom De Koning became a ruckman that you would consider offering big money to, playing as a ruck by himself when Mark Pitternet was out of the team. Yep. Now, if you're playing him with another ruck, are you stunting a $1.7 million player? You've invested a lot in this guy, and now you're only going to pay him in the ruck 65% of the time. That doesn't make sense to me either.